Have you ever wanted to start a podcast of your own, but you just didn't even know where to start? I mean, it's so complicated.
It can be really complicated. Thank goodness we're here, Strick.
Our team can help you do everything. Intro and outro music, that cool guy with a really deep voice to introduce you, show art, show notes, audio production, hosting. We can even send you a microphone if you need one.
So if you are looking for a really unique creative marketing piece, TurnKeyPodcast.com is for you. We will take care of everything for you when it comes to creating a unique piece that you can send out to your market.
You need to be the expert in your field, and the best way to do that is through podcasting. We can create an entire podcast season for you that you can send out as a marketing piece to your customers, to your potential customers, and let them know that you are the expert in the field.
Call today for your free consultation. Just talk to one of the teammates that we have here at TurnKeyPodcast.com. Check it out. You're going to love it. It's going to be great. Hey, Strick, guess what?
What?
I'm using my my new superpower. You know how?
No, what is it?
It's mind-bending influence.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's good. So you will go to patreon.com/NiceGuys. You will contribute. How's it working so far? Has anybody moved over to Patreon yet?
I'm going there right now.
Oh, wait, you already contribute. We need our listeners to go to patreon.com/NiceGuys.
For as little as $1 or $2 a month, you can help support the podcast. Come on, guys, we're not asking a lot. Doug's superpower.
It's working.
Coming up today on the Nice Guys on Business.
I decided to write a book that's really speaking to just any person who might want to learn more about themselves and who feels like, somehow I'm not in the zone of my passions right now and I'd like to figure out how to be. So this book is really designed to do that and to help people understand that there's both an art and a science of finding your passions and living your purpose. It's not one completely or the other completely. It's a combination of the two.
Today on the Nice Guys podcast, fencing, fighting, torture, revenge, giants, monsters, chases, escapes, true love, miracles. Oh, no, that's The Princess Bride. Need an education on how to grow your business? The Nice Guys are here to help. Learn about great customer service, networking, and how just being nice can help you prosper. Now, here are your hosts, Doug Sandler and Strickland Bonner.
Hey, nice guy community, FunkNfans, welcome back. My name
Almost got hung up there, didn't you?
I know, I did. My brain is not working. We've recorded our episodes for this week already, and now we're doing the intros, and wow, we've been talking for a long time. My name is Strickland Bonner. On the other side of the microphone, Mr. Doug Sandler. Yes, it's Monday, and that intro feels like a Monday intro.
Hey, I heard through Lou Diamond. Hi, Lou. Good to see you again. Thanks for listening again, Lou. Through Lou with Thrive Loud. Hey, come on, that's more promo for Lou's podcast, Thrive Loud. Lou said on interview days, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, those days, he actually kind of looks forward to our banter back and forth on those days.
Like even more than the interview?
He
not that much, right? Let's not push it.
Let's not get carried away. I think Lou's sentiment is probably the same as the rest of the Nice Guy community, which is we like it when you have a couple things to say, but ignoring the guest probably is not a good idea.
So what Lou is saying is about 5 to 6 minutes of you guys shooting the shit is about all I can take, and then I want to hear some real information.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. So
Fair
why
enough.
don't we just quickly get through our few minutes of pointless shit, and then we'll actually get to Alaina Love, who was an amazing interview today.
Okay, so the first new thing is you can text 31996. You text Nice Guys, no spaces, nice, NICEGUIS to 31996, and you can get entered to win a free T-shirt and some other bonus shit.
Yeah, so, I was going to ask you, what do they get if they do that?
Yeah, that's it. I'm trying to keep it quick.
Oh, jeez. Well, I didn't have to be that fast. Does it have to be that fast?
Promise statement.
Do we really need to listen to Lou all the time?
Promise statement. Oh, yeah.
Promise
So
statement,
you're telling me what a
fine.
great idea he has, and then you're like, well, not that great an idea. All right, come on.
It's a good idea, but, he is a client. We should listen to our clients. And you know what? If you don't like our show, you can just go listen to Lou's show. No, don't do that. We need all the listeners that we can get. We haven't lost many. As a matter
Doug,
of fact,
people can listen to both. It's okay.
Not one or the other.
They are not mutually exclusive of each other.
I love that. It's not as we say in the business world, it's not a zero-sum game. God, I hate bullshit like that.
Right. It's not an or. It can be an and.
Okay. So that's good. That's good. All right. So the promise statement to deliver an experience that is educational and adds value to your life.
No, it's just an experience, not educational. You dropped that, remember?
No. Remember, we came up with. You'll hear this in the next couple of days over the podcast, but our promise statement is the nice guys.
The nice guys. You'll hear that I think on Tuesday. You'll hear us talk more about that.
I'm feeling that we're going to be talking about the promise statement later on in the week. So
to provide an experience that is entertaining and adds value to your life. Period.
Oh, not educate. Well, I haven't been reading it for the last few days, so I know. So we're not going to change it again. It's too confusing to change.
Yes, we will. At some point, we'll change it again. It's a living, breathing document. At some point, it will change again.
Okay.
But for now, it is to provide an experience that is entertaining and adds value to your life. But after tomorrow's show, it may just be the nice guys.
And then we decided it will probably just be the guys.
The guys.
Because sometimes we're not.
You got to tune in tomorrow to hear about that, though. I have a feeling I'm using my psychic powers to believe that we're going to talk about this tomorrow.
Hey, Strick, do you have any idea what? Oh, wait. We will introduce officially Alaina in just a second. Alaina, just hold.
Anytime now, we'll get to Alaina Love, who was the interview today. I promise.
Just hold on a second. We need to remind our Nice Guy community of just a couple of really brief things. Thing number one, please make sure if you have not recommended our episodes on Overcast this week, please go back and recommend every episode starting today through the rest of the week. We really need you to do that every day. Very important. It's just a little gold star. You're already hitting play. While you're hitting the play button, can you just hit the star button also? That would be very helpful.
Thing number two, I hope Dr. Seuss doesn't sue us.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, according to an interview that I did earlier with Lolly Daskal, I like to quote my Dr. Seuss. I'm not sure that she's a big Dr. Seuss fan, though.
I don't think she got that reference at all, no.
No, she really didn't.
I bet Alaina Love would get that reference.
She totally would. She's all about, because that is the thing that I am passionate about. A little bit of creativity in my life. Elena's got this program. What's the program called?
The Purpose Link. So she's got a book called The Purpose Linked Organization, and it's really all about employee engagement. Research from Gallup and others show that nearly 70% of the U.S. workforce is disengaged, which means that you're not getting the full return on your investment from anybody that is working for you. And she has a great way. She's got a little poll, a little test, the word is going right out of my
profile.
Yeah, exactly. You fill out a profile to try and help you figure out what it is that you are focused on and passionate about. Because when you have people working for you that are not focused and not passionate, or if you're working for somebody and you're not passionate about your job, it's a downer in so many ways, because not only are you not providing value for your employer because you're not doing a good job because you're not enjoying it, but you're hurting yourself too. And she really helps you focus in on, okay, what is it that you love, and what maybe there's a job that you're doing right now that you could maybe twist it just a little bit and be a lot more passionate about it.
When you take a job, because you have not changed jobs very often in your life. I mean, you worked with Washington Talent, and now you work with Social Solutions, and you haven't really moved a lot. How long does it take you before you really kind of get into the zone? I mean, you do it pretty quickly, or does it take you a while?
It's funny that you mention that, because I haven't changed jobs very often in the last, let's say, 20 years, right? But when I was in college and just out of college, I had 20 jobs. I did everything. And most of them I didn't really like that much until I found my Washington Talent job that I really loved for a long time. It totally depends on partly what it is you're doing. It's great to find something that you love doing, but I'm realizing too, a lot of it is about management and about how you do your job and how the company structures what you do. And there really are ways that you can have your employees, or you as an employee could become more engaged by just kind of putting a little pivot or a twist on things. Sometimes it's so important.
So we talk about her, Alaina's, the passion profiler. We definitely do that. We talk about leadership and team development. This is a really cool interview, and she's a pretty smart cookie. So I think we should just get to the interview.
Yeah, and she also goes into My Passionality, which another of her websites is mypassionality.com. And it really is about, you can fill out this passion profile and figure out what your purpose is, what you are passionate about.
So are you feeling pretty good now that we're associated not only with the C-Suite Radio Network, but the Greatness Podcasting Network too? Do you feel a little bit like a little bolder, a little bit more greater?
Feeling kind of wanted. I'm feeling engaged. It's good. Well, I mean, if we could get some more engagement from our listeners, it'd be even better. But I'm feeling a little wanted.
I think the text to join program, I think this is actually going to work. Not that I'm saying that our FunkNfans, our nice guy community, not that I'm feeling like they are lazy at all. But, it's challenging. If you're listening in the car and you really don't I don't want to write their email down. It could not be any simpler than texting to us. So I'm looking forward to seeing if this is like the next thing. We're just trying to work our angle to figure out what is the best way to communicate with our community would be. I think this is it. I think we have found it.
Okay.
I hope we found it.
I hope so too.
I'm out of guesses.
I hope so too.
I really am out of guesses. All right, so let's get to the interview with Alaina Love right here on the Nice Guys on Business podcast. Let's do it. Have you found your true calling or your purpose in life? And if you're still trying to figure it out, then you should listen up because today's guest, Alaina Love, is here to share. She is the president and chief operating officer of Purpose Link Consulting, an author, a colleague in the podcasting space as well. And we're going to chat a little bit about that as well. Welcome, Alaina, to the Nice Guys on Business podcast.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you today.
You've just been in the preliminary interview side of things and through social media, which is, I think, our connection was through LinkedIn originally. You've just been like the ultimate nice person. Is that just you?
I hope so. I think my parents would be proud to hear you say that. Thank you.
So help our nice guy community. Maybe give me like a 20-second synopsis on who you are, because there's so many directions that I could go in discussing about all of this great past that you have. But the things that people usually present first are the things that they're most passionate about. So share with our community who you are and why you love doing what you do.
Well, if I had to summarize who I am in 25 words or less, I would say I'm a healer. That's what I do. I work with leaders and teams and organizations, and I help heal toxic work environments. I help people better connect who they are to what they do so that they thrive in the work that they're doing every day. And we do that through the lens of understanding individual passions and how to bring those to the work you do.
Yeah, and some of the things that I've been doing in researching it, you have this, and we'll get into it a little bit more. You have this thing called passionality, which is is that a created word or is that a real word?
It's definitely a created word. It's also the title of my next book.
Oh my gosh, is that really the title of your next book?
Absolutely. Passionality.
Okay.
Yes, the art and science of finding your passion and living your purpose.
We'll get into that. Absolutely. And we're also going to talk about, which I think is really cool. You have this huge level of experience in the billion-dollar world of Merck, and you worked in the HR world with them as their executive director. Maybe you can share with the Nice Guy community how a thick policies and procedures manual can actually coincide with being passionate about what someone does, because oftentimes I hear structure and I'm thinking, boy, there's no passion in structure. But share a little bit about that.
Well, it's my journey there was quite interesting and very unorthodox. I started out with Merck actually as a research scientist.
Yeah.
Working on compounds that modulate immune responses in diseases like lupus and rheumatoid arthritis, and moved from that into clinical research, and then made this crazy jump into human resources. And when I think about it, it's not so crazy because it definitely aligns with my passions, understanding my passions through the lens of the research that we have done over the last 10 years. And it also gave me an opportunity to learn about the business from conception in the laboratory all the way to market. So it was a really exciting place to be. And I learned a tremendous amount. But there was a time in my career when I became the only woman at a very senior level in HR and the only person of color ever to have achieved that level. And in the beginning of that experience, I enjoyed what I was doing. And then somewhere along the line, it occurred to me there was something more I was supposed to be pursuing. And that what I was doing at that moment in time no longer aligned with what I thought my purpose was. So I made this insane decision. People are still scratching their heads about it. And I kind of put a stake out in the ground and I said, if I don't feel differently by X number of months from now, I'm out of here. I'm going to leave.
That's a decision that I think a lot of us, especially in our listening audience, are battling with, or not battling with, but dealing with right now.
Absolutely. And it's interesting because once I made the decision to leave, I actually decided to conduct a study to see if I was as crazy as the people that I knew were accusing me of being, or whether there were other people out there who felt just like I did. And interestingly enough, after interviewing individuals from all different kinds of organizations across 14 different industry segments, I found that the highest potential individuals in most organizations were struggling with this same question. So if your listeners are feeling like they're not quite sure if where they are is where they're supposed to be, it's not an unusual moment to reach in one's career. What I feel that the work we do now is so good at doing is providing people with the compass that they need to navigate that question. When I left the organization, if someone were to say to me, well, Alaina, how about we give you this job or this job or this job, which believe me, they tried to do.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. You're a valuable employee. You want to hold on to them as long as you can.
Absolutely. My boss was like a magician with two hats, and he's pulling rabbit after rabbit out of it, trying to get me to stay.
Yeah.
And I walked away from everything he offered me because I realized in retrospect that I did not have the language to describe to him where I could best be used. I didn't have the language to help him or the organization or even myself understand what's going to be the best match for me. I was good at a lot of things. I was skilled at many things. But there's a difference between being skilled at something and being passionate about it. And I really felt like I needed that combination of both, being both skilled and passionate about what I was doing, so that I could stay completely engaged with my work. And I think there are people out there who are sort of searching for that same answer. And if my departure from a large organization can do anything, I hope it helps others navigate that question with greater ease than I did.
I think what's interesting about that move is that, we all have that common thing that holds us back, and of course that's fear. And it's the fear from, in your particular case, clinical researcher to HR exec to entrepreneur. Talk about, that's like a 180-degree change. And oftentimes we are, we as people have this burning desire to want to do something that we love, but have no idea how to get from point A to point B. Fear holds us back, so we don't even do the research or the try to figure out what that is. So so what's interesting is you then wrote a book, right? Is that so? Give me the sequence of events. It's at what point did you write this? The Purpose Linked organization. Is that previous to you leaving the organization? Is that after? How did that all happen?
That was after. And what happened once I left was I sat back one day, realizing that I had reduced my annual income by 100% virtually overnight. I was like the stunt. Exactly. I was like the stunt driver in one of those commercials where they say, "Don't try this at home."
Right. Yeah. Closed course professional.
I would not recommend this as a game plan.
Right.
And of course, I was completely committed to the organization while I was there. So I didn't create a plan B while I was waiting for this magical moment in time to come when I was going to leave. I put my head down and I worked like crazy for the organization. But I remember getting to the point one day after I'd left where I sat down and I thought to myself, I wonder how this could have turned out differently. And I realized that there was a yearning that I had inside for feeling a connection between the purpose that I thought I was here to accomplish, like my purpose for being on the planet, and what I was doing every day in this thing called work. And I was trying to figure out how could we actually understand that about employees? How could an individual understand that about themselves? And I'll tell you something, Doug. I carried that issue around with me like gum on the bottom of my shoe for about 7 years, just trying to figure out how to crack the code on that. And then one day I realized, you know what? When people are really working in the zone of their purpose, there's something that we can actually physically see happen to them. We see this passion being exuded from them. And when I conducted the study that I mentioned earlier, I realized I was seeing patterns of passion in these very talented people over and over again. And these patterns of passion were falling sort of into very predictable buckets. Mm-hmm. And I realized when I looked back, all of the leaders that I had worked with all over the globe for this large multi-billion-dollar company were actually demonstrating those same patterns of passion. And it occurred to me that the passions that we exhibit are actually the outward manifestation of the deeper purpose that drives us. They're connected.
All right, so hold on before you go on. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I think what just happened is you've introduced something that I never even thought of. Well, that's obvious. There's a lot of things I've never thought of, but it's that there are now some sort of analytics attached to passion, because I think where you're about to go is that there's a series of circumstances that fall into place and they're measurable. Is that true?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Talk about that, because I'm really curious.
Well, this whole notion of purpose, it's such an esoteric concept, right? And you can take 25 people and ask them, what's your purpose in life? And you're going to get all kinds of answers, and a lot of deer in the headlights kind of looks.
Well, you're going to get a lot of woo-woo. And
right.
That's totally not, while I'm a woo kind of person on my, I don't know what, leadership scale or whatever that is that's out there, the whole woo thing, it so baffles me. I'm like, follow your passion. I'm like, come on, don't be that way. Can you just give me some tangible things that I can do to get there, because
Exactly.
I can't follow passion. I can follow, you tell me A, B, and C, and I can do that, but I can't follow my passion.
Exactly. And we actually do a disservice to people when we tell them that, but then we don't give them any tools
right, exactly.
to actually do it. And we've done that with an entire generation. I mean, look at all the folks coming into the workforce now whose parents have said, find your passion and find a job that aligns with it and you'll be happy. And we've got all these, recent grads walking around scratching their heads going, what does that look like? And I don't even know where to start.
But then when they say to us, I just want to make an impact, then you just say, that's a bullshit answer. Can you just give me a real answer? I'm like, no,
exactly.
That's really, we've trained them that way. It's our fault.
It totally is. It totally is. And we didn't change the locks on the door. So when they don't make it in the first,
right.
Job they're in, they're back home trying to sort out, well, what comes next?
Right.
But my point is this: if we could figure out a way to codify purpose into terms that were measurable and understandable, we could actually do something with that. As leaders, we could do something with that when we think about how do we align what we ask people who work for us to do with who they are. And as individuals, we would have a deeper understanding of the situations that were going to likely contribute to us feeling a sense of thriving or not. So if it was road A versus road B, and road A offered us an opportunity to really express our purpose, we know that that's probably the right direction for us to take. So with this notion of passion being connected to purpose, and with this notion of these sort of behavioral, consistently demonstrated behaviors showing up in the leaders that I interviewed, I realized that I could actually find a way to codify purpose by codifying the passions that emanate from it. So what I actually did was sit down and take a deep dive into all of these behaviors that I was seeing, and I identified 10 distinct what I called passion archetypes that people demonstrate.
So here comes the clinical researcher in you from Merck
Sorry.
About to come out. No. I'm saying this is why. See, I look at this and say, can't you see? And as you probably have many times, but can't you see now why you were at Merck? This was preparing you for whatever this next step was, which is this.
Completely. I can see with great clarity now why everything happened the way that it did.
But at the time, you're like, I don't know why the hell I want to leave, but you had to leave.
Yeah, I really did. And for me, the fear that you talked about earlier was definitely there, but I really left for hope. Mm-hmm. I left because staying was scarier than leaving.
Yeah, I relate to that. Yep.
And I obviously, there was something I was supposed to do. I wasn't quite sure what it was then, but I sure do know what it is now. And so, after codifying this notion of purpose into these passion archetypes that emanate from it, I thought, well, I better get some help here. And so I put together a team of researchers from the University of Michigan to sort of work with me to build a tool that could actually accurately, scientifically, validly, and reliably identify those particular passions in individuals. And so we did that. We built it. We call it the Passion Profiler. And to date, there have been some 10,000 people who have gone through the Passion Profiler assessment. And what it in essence does is measure how you resonate with all 10 passion archetypes. And we all have some of all of those 10 in us to greater or lesser degrees. And we specifically focus on your top 3, because your top 3, if you understand what they are, will help you realize what strengths you're likely to enjoy based on your passions, what vulnerabilities you might be more subject to because you have those particular passions, and where you're likely to thrive. What are the situations that you're likely to feel most like you're in your zone when you're working in those situations. And it helps also leaders understand, how do I lead and manage somebody with one archetype versus another archetype? Because we're not all the same. We are actually a mosaic of our passions, and the greater understanding we have of those, the more mastery we can develop of our passions, and so that we create a life in which we feel like we are doing who we are rather than trying to be what we do.
So how easy or how challenging is it for one to take the Passion Profiler? Is that just is that your website? Is that somewhere else? How do we get this Passion Profiler? Now I'm curious how I get it.
Well, we have 2 different ways to go about it. If most large teams, large organizations want to do a deep dive into their passions, where they're understanding not just the passions of the individuals, but which ones are being expressed at work, how affiliated people feel with their jobs, the degree to which they're reflective, and the unique contributions that they can make to knowledge through their passions. And for that, we really suggest people work with us directly with our corporate website, which is thepurposelink.com. And we work with those teams and actually conduct workshops and give very extensive reporting on one's passions to the team. If somebody is interested and says, we're not a large organization, we don't have funding to bring in someone to do a huge team intervention with us, but we really kind of want to understand this, or I personally just want to experiment with this for myself.
I want to just personally experiment with this for myself. Okay. I want to know what my passion is.
What your passions are. So what you can do is go to our public website, which is called mypassionality.com. mypassionality.com, and you can literally take an abbreviated version of the Passion Profiler for $11.99.
Oh boy, that's cheap. Okay.
We want it to be accessible. And you will get a very short report that will tell you what your top 3 archetypes are, and will give you just a little bit of blurb of information about each of those 3 archetypes. If you want to learn more about them or really go a little bit deeper into them, our book, The Purpose Linked Organization, has a chapter on each one of those archetypes and a story of somebody who typifies that archetype. So you can learn more in the Purpose Linked organization.
So we'll make sure we put links in the show notes for both the passionality, the Passion Profiler, right?
Passion Profiler.
Sorry, there's a lot of P's in there.
I know, exactly.
Purpose for Passion Profile. Okay, so we'll make sure we put links in the show notes for not only your previously written book, but also for the profile as well. So I have a question for you. So you've written one book, The Purpose Linked Organization, right? So when you left Merck, you wrote that book. And now you have this other book coming out called Personality as well, correct?
It's called Passionality.
Okay, just question from one author to another. Because I have not written this, is that your second book, or do you have others out aside from those 2?
No, it's my second book. And this is a book that was really born of the requests that I was getting from leaders and teams where I found myself being asked to, come into someone's office for a private conversation. And that conversation kind of went like, my brother-in-law just left his job. He's really struggling. Can you do a session with him? He could really use information about his passions. Or can you sit down and talk to my wife and do her passion profile? And maybe the two of us can talk to each other and we'll understand each other better. So since I'm not in the marriage counseling business, I thought to myself, there's obviously a need here for the general public to have access to this information. And the access is not happening fast enough working through corporations alone. So I decided to write a book that's really speaking to just any person who might want to learn more about themselves and who feels like, somehow I'm not in the zone of my passions right now, and I'd like to figure out how to be. So this book is really designed to do that and to help people understand that there's both an art and a science of finding your passions and living your purpose. It's not one completely or the other completely. It's a combination of the two. And we do explore the passion archetypes in that book, but we explore them from the perspective of how do those particular passions show up in you in the three most important relationships that you have in your life. And those relationships are the relationship you have with yourself. In other words, what are the conversations going on in your head that are driven by these passions that you carry? The second relationship is the relationship that you have with friends or loved ones. What's that interaction like based on your passions? And the third is the relationship that you have with your work. What do those passions have you looking for in a work role? And what are the environments at work that will allow you to feel a sense of thriving if you align them with your passions? So we're really sort of looking across the whole person relative to the passions that they carry. Yeah,
and that's exactly what I was going to say. You take a very a broad brush stroke in trying to figure out where that passion falls and what it's all about, and very interesting, really interesting concept. When I first looked at your profile, and then I started doing some research, I'm like, there is a lot, because I usually don't have people on the show that are like woo woo, and that was not what I was looking for when I connected with you. But there was something that was deeper, and I looked at it and I said, there's really a lot to be said about somebody that went from, I saw your history, clinical researcher, to passion. It's completely the opposite end of the spectrum. So thank you for making it at least simple enough so a third grade level guy like me can understand it. And I'm looking forward to getting some feedback from our Nice Guy community also to hear what they have to say. But we'll make sure we put all the links in the show notes. If people wanted to get in touch with you directly to talk about either your training services or about the things that you do, Alaina, how can they do that?
They can reach out to me at info@thepurposelink.com.
Excellent. And you're also a podcaster too.
I am. I'm just beginning a passionate leadership podcast, which we have uploaded on iTunes.
Oh, that's great. How many episodes? How many episodes do you have out now?
We just have one up now. We've got two more that are on their way.
Wow.
And we're going to continue to produce hopefully one a month. And the whole notion is to understand how do you lead with a sense of passion, and how do you evoke the passions of your people to use them as a competitive advantage so that you can really make a difference in your business.
Well, Alaina, thank you so much for your contribution today to the Nice Guy community, to the show, and I'm looking forward to listening to your podcast. I heard the couple of episodes that you have. I think one was from last year, and then you did one more recently, and a completely change of a format, and I like where the new one is heading, so keep going in that direction.
Thank you so much. It's been a fun experiment.
Nice Guy community, never underestimate the power of nice. Again, special thanks to Alaina Love for being on the show today, and check out the show notes for all information about how to get a hold of her book and all the information and the passion profiler as well. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon. Steve O'Brien, take us out of here.
For the Nice Guys on Business, I'm Steve O'Brien. Fill up your week with the Nice Guys. Have fun storming the castle, boys.